Hey team, welcome back to the show. I'm
Oh, it's so weird.
okay, I did just full disclosure, I just asked if I could do the intro. We'll take your votes on who you like to do it better. Please vote me. Anyways, okay. Welcome back to the show. Today we are going to do some catch ups. We figured that as 2024 is getting ready to wrap up, it would be a good time to reflect on the past year, things that we've learned, as well as look ahead to 2025, things that we're looking forward to, things that we want to work towards, and just generally have a good time catching up here. By the time this comes out, it should be the end of the month, so it should be good timing. So before we do that, let's go ahead and catch up a little bit. Any updates from you, Jeremiah? What's going on with your training lately? How you feeling?
Yeah. First, this is again so interesting to have you being on kind of late in the interview, but I'm interested to hear if people like your intro or mine better. I do need to change that. I say the exact same thing every single time. I'm sorry.
I think it
But
probably makes people feel safe because it's comfortable and reliable.
do you know who Mike Vacanti is?
Mm.
Okay. When I first he's kind of he's very quiet. He doesn't really like post on social media or anything. But like when I first got into coaching, he was like doing the online thing, and I really, really like looked up to him and feel like I learned a lot from him. He was Gary Vee's trainer for a while before Jordan
Mm.
Saya started like coaching Gary Vee back when like I don't really follow Gary Vee anymore either, but like back in his heyday. But I like learned so much from his YouTube videos when I was like first starting coaching, and he would always be like, what did he say? Like, hey team, welcome to the video or something like that. It was nice to like, anyways,
Welcome to the show.
I also filled Andrea in on the updates this morning, so I will keep them pretty brief because the listeners will
Well,
probably like
I
them.
didn't get to hear them.
Okay. But basically, yeah, kind of back to status quo with my training. As we chatted about last like month has been a little bit more off with like
Mhm.
being sick, a lot more things going on that have disrupted that side of things, but feeling really good again, really feeling pretty productive and kind of had gotten in a flow, had been going to the gym a little bit more frequently as opposed to just hitting all my training sessions at home. I was just lonely. I know we've talked
Uh,
about this, but what
Have
we
you been going to
do.
Fit Lab again? Or
I have been going to like
it's
5 different gyms to figure out which one I wanted to go to. That's the other thing I
okay.
was saying to Andrea. I literally think I have 5 gym memberships right now because I'm terrible about canceling things. I need
On
you.
brand. That's so
That
on
is,
good for you.
you know how on brand that is for me. It's like, Natalie,
Yes.
please take care of this for me. Um, that's
I
what
am personally excited about FitLab's new location whenever it
I'm
is
so stoked.
open. So you know that
Oh
Phoenix
yeah.
is now like my second home, so I know that I will be out there to check it out. So
Soon to be your first home.
ugh.
No, I'm so excited for that as well. But yeah, basically what I've concluded is I'm going to be going to Fit Lab a couple times per week. And actually that's like during my work week. I feel like it a lot of times what it turns into is like when I'm just training at home and I'm also like working at home, it's almost like I'm still like training in the office. And it's nice to just
Yeah.
like disconnect from that for a bit. I've been training right around like noon lately. I've really liked that. Have a really productive work block. I feel like after like 4-ish hours or so of work, it kind of starts to
Mhm.
fade. And then I can like go do that and really rejuvenated and do like some of my lighter work in the latter half of the day. And then on like 3 days a week, my upper body session, I just love my prime chest supported row so much that I want to be
I
able to
know
use that
you
twice a
do.
week.
I know
And
you
then
do.
it's so good though. Like nothing else compares to it. Now that I really like have the hang of it, it truly just like feel like nothing else compares to that. Um, and then my pull day and my lower body day on the weekend, I'm actually going to be hitting here. Just like Katie's here. It's
Yeah,
again like on the weekends, it's like I don't want to be away from home as
sure.
much. I want to be. So but then what we're going to Portugal. Have you been?
Yes. I
Of
didn't know.
course you have.
Of
I
course I
figured
have.
you
Do you
would have
want my
been,
Lonely
yes.
Planet? I have tons of suggestions for you.
I do want you to, when you're here, I do want you to talk us through that because we're actually going um March 4th through the 12th. And
Wait, who is your
so,
dog sitter?
oh, I didn't even think about that actually. If you want to come out, we can
You
let's talk
know
about this off air. Yeah, we should talk about this. I didn't consider
this is the
that.
content that people need.
Yeah, this is
They
what
need
people need.
my
I did.
my dog sitting adventures. How long are you going for though?
We're
That's
gonna be there for 8 days.
and where are you going? I assume you're flying into out of Lisbon.
No idea. You know that
Oh,
I don't. you know that I didn't plan this.
You're off to a great start.
I was like, this is pretty last minute because I'm going to be dieting very soon. But
Mhm.
I was thinking it was like May we were going, and I was like, hey, Kate, when are we doing this? And she's like, oh yeah, it's like March 4th through the 12th. So yes, I have. She was just like, do you want to go to Portugal? I was like, yeah, that sounds great. She was like, look at these pictures. I was like, oh, that looks incredible. Cool, let's do it. I'm down. And then I haven't really like kept up on it. I think she's probably told me a lot more about it, and I have just kind of spaced it out. So yesterday I was like, oh shit, Steve, by the way, I'm going to
Yes,
Portugal
you
in
know
like
I
three
will have
months.
a full itinerary for you by end of day.
I know you
The
will.
Portugal trip.
But
Yeah, I loved
so
it. I absolutely loved it. So I
oh, it
have you.
looks beautiful.
Yes, yes, it was such a great time. So yeah, you're gonna love it too, knowing you too.
Yeah, no, it'll be really fun. But I feel pretty good where I'm at, but I wanted to get a little bit leaner for that. So and we were like Steve did have on our timeline. We keep pushing it back because body comp has really maintained very nicely,
Mhm.
but did want to get leaner for that. So we're planning on doing 7 weeks of like a mini cut-esque, probably a little bit less aggressive than a mini cut would be because it's a little bit longer. But I think he wants to just pull down like somewhere between 10 and 15 pounds and thought I'd
So are
be
you gonna be
pretty lean by the
dieting
time.
for January for when we're there for the team retreat?
I think so, which
So
isn't,
you and Angie are gonna be dieting and I'm gonna be living my best life.
I know that you're probably not going to be any different than the rest of us, but that is perfectly fine by me. No, there's no group of people that is easier to.
It's so true though. Like, okay. Well those are good updates.
Yeah, what about with you?
Glad I asked. What's up with me?
Hmm.
I wish I had something better to report, but not a whole lot. I finished another book today.
Oh yeah.
So really making time for my reading, which I am enjoying. Really just training. Things are pretty productive. I've been pretty open with this on my stories, but training is now like kind of, I was gonna say dumbed down, but that's not true. It's like I'm like repeating so many things throughout the week because I've been kind of like pre-having, rehabbing, post-having like my
But are you
shoulder.
doing the same movement multiple times?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes. So there are just like a couple machines that I use a couple times per week in the exact same way. And I asked like Nick Ridpath, I'm like, hey, should I like switch up the rep range? And he's like, I mean, only out of boredom. And it's like, I don't care about that. Like I
Yeah.
literally don't care about that. But it's funny, like I go to like such a fun gym. It's like such a playground of equipment. You know, you've been there.
Oh yeah, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, it's so fun. And but at the end of the day, it's like I don't use all the things. Like it's fun to have them there and to think about it. But at the end of the day, it's like I've been on the same program for like well over a year at this point. But you kind of like the longer you're at this, like I think you start out with like, oh, like here are all the cool things I can do, and like I want to try this variation and that variation, and like, and then after a while, you sort of just like learn what works for your body, and it's like,
Hmm.
why would I do anything different?
Yeah.
Like, and so honestly, we when I started having these shoulder issues, we took my some of my pull volume down because like we were like troubleshooting and like just my body couldn't take it. And the volume actually hasn't gone back up. But I feel like I've had more growth in like the last since September, 3 or 4 months, than I have in like the last year in a lot of ways. And like I am doing a little bit lower volume. So therefore we can assume my recovery is better because I like send it on every set anyway. So it's not like my training intensity was suffering, but my recovery likely was.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, better pumps, like better connection. And we just haven't added that volume back in. And I mean, even like my bicep volume right now, you know, I originally had like a cable preacher and like a lengthened kind of like face away cable curl. And I remember asking Nick, like, when do I get to put my preacher back in? And he's like, when you have like a solid week with 0 out of 10 pain or
Yeah.
discomfort. And I actually think I'm kind of almost pretty much there. And I keep thinking like, when am I going to bring this up to him? But it's just been kind of cool to see things progress that way and like still see my physique progress despite doing slightly lower volume. And then also like the repetition, like I do that Atlantis Viking press twice a week because push movements are a little bit dicey there. and
Got a
like the
bicep vein popping right now.
huh?
Side note, you got a bicep vein popping right now.
Yeah, and this is a rest day too. Like my left bicep vein has zero chill. It's like that and my traps, like cannot calm them down. But so really that's what's new with me. That's my news.
I don't think there's anything wrong at all with the repeating movements. And I've gotten, it is funny again, as like your training evolves and progresses. Like when my first like 4 or 5 years of training where I didn't know nearly as much about it, it is funny how I like really dug deep into it, learned so much about like X is most optimal, etc. And then long term have come back to so many of the movements that was like what I was initially doing, like my
Yeah.
barbell RDLs, my like barbell presses, dumbbell presses. It is funny how like that whole your like Y grip lat pull downs like for the longest time we're like this isn't lats, and it is funny how like that whole cycle it almost like in a way comes back to like this is really what feels best and drives the best stimulus for me, and I'm okay with doing it. And even with clients, like it's not like for example, like if someone has a glute drive or just a glute bridge in general, like it is not uncommon for me to program that twice per week. If the
Yeah.
person like doesn't have a 45-degree hip extension or just doesn't get as good of a stimulus out of it, a lot of times for like a short overload glute movement, glute max movement, that is like our clear winner, like by far top of the pile where we can drive a lot of stimulus here. This person gets a lot from it. Or like a leg extension, for example, where like quads are more of a priority. But I fully agree with all that. But good, I'm glad to hear the training's going well.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it's a lot like it's a lot like dating, right? Like the whole purpose of dating is like you want to find like who you're compatible with and like what you are looking for in a long-term partner. And with your training, like you almost have to go through that. I think especially like as trainers, I mean, I also want to be like well versed in all of the movements so that I can coach all of the movements.
Hmm.
So, it's not like I regret like years spent doing like, maybe less ideal or less like biomechanically advantageous movements for my body. Like I don't regret any of that because it takes doing all of that to learn like what is going to work for you.
Right.
Um, and then, I also like fully concede that there are some people that need a little bit more entertainment. I mean, I definitely preach like, hey, if it's working, why would we change it? And for me personally, I'll tell you what's entertaining, and that's progress and results. That to me is far more entertaining than like 50 different lat variations, like I don't care. But that's a spectrum, right? And some people do care and they do need a little bit more. And then sometimes they also have to like go through all of that to come back around full circle to be like, yeah, okay, this is what works and like this is where I make the most progress. So it's a journey.
It really does have so many parallels to being in a relationship
I knew you
that
were just gonna laser focus on that.
so many jokes here I have, but I am not going to make them.
Thank
Um, all right. Anything else on that before we continue?
No, I'm hosting. Are you good
I'm
to
so
get
sorry.
into this
Yes, please
topic?
continue. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah, I am.
good. One last question that I will ask the people must know. Do you have any fun holiday plans? Like, are you a big Christmas, New Year's guy? Like, what are you two up to? Are you traveling?
I love Christmas. I am not a big New Year's guy. Last year we went out. Last year was like the first time in a very long time we were like, we should go out for dinner. We went to this restaurant. We were supposed to like start eating at like 10, which is still so late.
Oh my God, no.
But they were like,
Automatic no for me.
no, dude, it took like an extra 2 hours for us to get seated, and we literally didn't leave until 3 a.m. And we were like, we're not trying this again. So we're definitely not gonna do anything for New Year's. For Christmas as well, we're actually just staying home. More or
It's
less
not
like
working, is she?
nope, she actually has the whole next week off. I'm doing
Oh, good.
check-ins on Monday and then I'm taking the rest of the week off as well. So I'm excited for it. It's like not very often it seems like with um we have company a decent bit, and just with us being so far from like friends and family, it's not very often that we both love Phoenix. We love our home so much and just like doing things here so much that we're both really excited to just have a week where we can just hang out with each other, and it's like just the two of us largely. So no, we're not really doing anything special. We have a tradition where on New Year's or on Christmas Eve we get each other ugly sweaters. We surprise each other with ugly sweaters, and then like go to like a couple different bars in
I know
wherever.
what your sweater looks like.
Do you?
I do.
Tell me.
No.
I got her one that has like a dynasty. It has like so like a Neo is her two favorite toys are like this Triceratops Katie got her and this T-Rex I got her, the stuffed T-Rex I got her. She like always has to like sleep with them and use them as pillows. It's the cutest thing. But anyways, I like got her this Christmas sweater that has like it's like a Triceratops, like the front end of it sticking out, or I think it's a T-Rex actually, front end sticking out of the front, like it's like a whole like stuffed like animal on the sweater. But anyways,
So if
and
she
then I
listens
think
to this, then she knows.
what's that?
So if Katie listens to this podcast, which I know
She
she
doesn't
will
listen to the
because I'm
podcast.
she's
I
gonna listen.
know she won't listen to the podcast. She was just telling me. But I was talking to my mom the other day. She was like, "Oh, I listened to a couple of your podcasts, and I felt like I was like on the phone with you." And then she was like, "Is Katie listening to the podcast?" And she was like, "No, I'm sorry, honey." So I know she won't. But yeah, that is really what we are up to.
Okay, cool. Very nice. All right. Are you good to get into this?
I am ready. Kind of
All
nervous,
right.
honestly. I can't lie to you.
Good. So you are in the hot seat here. So really, I just want your reflections. I know that you haven't done a lot of prep for this on purpose because we want it to be real and raw. So, Jeremiah Bear, looking back on 2024, what achievement are you most proud of? And let's start with professional achievement.
Okay, absolutely. I feel like with all the like Enneagram soul searching I was doing last night, this is a good time for me to be doing this, honestly. So this is probably better than normal. I feel like a lot of times I get so in my head trying to like talk about my feelings of things or like I don't want to try to like I don't want to like try to like play myself up and make myself seem like I think more of myself than I don't know. I feel like I like
Well,
always get so in my head
whoever
about
did that, you know that I would put you
I
back there.
know, and that's why I'm glad that you are running this. But no, I'm excited to talk through this. Okay, professionally, what achievement am I most proud of? I really think it's our team is I'm incredibly proud of our team. It is crazy to see. There have been a lot of times where I've really struggled with, and I feel like I've been able to own this a lot more this year and accept it, and almost feel worthy of it in a way. But I have really struggled in the past to like feel worthy of you guys in that I truly don't know like more talented coaches, better people. It's like y'all are the complete package, and it's crazy to me. And again, this has been an area I've worked on, and it's been easier for me to accept. But it's like I don't know how I was like worthy of that. Like I feel coming into like when I like started in the industry or like this always kind of being what I wanted to accomplish. And like there were like so many people I looked up to where it's like, man, they don't have what we have, despite like I feeling so inferior to that person or did at the time. So I think like y'all truly just are such amazing coaches. It blows my mind even like 2 years ago versus now, like how much everyone has involved on our team. And I really feel like we've talked about this quite a lot. I feel like this is the biggest year of growth for all of us yet, both from a coaching and skills perspective, but also personally. I think that kind of goes hand in hand,
I was going to
really.
say, do you think that's a coincidence?
No, I don't. I think we all had a tremendous amount of personal growth this last year. I mean, everyone worked with Leah. We also like we basically ended last year, started this year at the N1 seminar, which I feel like did set a good tone for the year.
Yeah.
Prescript, all our work with Dom. I feel like we've done a lot more like things like that I can't remember. But I feel like we just did a lot of new things, like took on a lot of new challenges that kind of just forced us, you definitely, to level up and grow a lot. And I feel like I really grew a lot as a leader this year as well for our company. And my understanding of what I needed to be for that role changed. And I'll talk about that more when we talk through the challenges because I think that really ties into that as well, like lessons learned.
Hmm.
I would say, but again, kind of similar to that. I'm sorry, this is such a long answer. I feel like there's so many things I want to talk through here now, but also kind of tying into that, like the community that we built. and just the people who we attract. We just have such like it's just exactly who I want to be working with, and it's so cool to see like every call I hop on, like just like so awesome, and it truly is just like such great people, and it's really cool to me. Like I don't know, I feel like I've reflected on this a lot lately for some reason, as we've been going through like changes in the business over the
Mhm.
last month, especially. I've reflected on this a lot lately, and it's really cool to like. I feel like I've been doing this for a long time now. I mean, even like the online side of things where I like started our company in 2018. So like we're almost year 7 now. And like there have been so many like business mentorships and things like that that I've gone through where it was like, or advice that I've gotten from others who were ahead of me at the time or more I perceived as like more successful. It was like that just doesn't sit right with me, be it like doing high pressure sales
Mm.
or dancing on TikTok and pointing at shit on the screen. And I'm really proud of the way
That's
I feel.
definitely in the content plan for our next meetup, though.
Oh my God. I
You doing a
actually
CrossFit class and then the latest TikTok dance trend.
I could do a foxtrot dance. I'm getting sufficient at that. But I am really proud of the way that we have gotten here as well. And I honestly think that's a big part of why we have the community and we attract the people that we do now, because it has been very true to us and how we wanted to build this. And again, there were a lot of things where it's like short term, maybe this would have helped us grow quicker. But long term, hey, my gut instinct is just this isn't the right fit. And I'm really proud of all of that.
Yeah, that's a really good summary. I know you felt like it was a little lengthy, but this past year has been a lot. It's just been a lot. And it is really cool to look back because I feel like professionally so much has happened.
Mhm.
Um and I personally really like doing these kind of like year-end wrap-ups and reviews and things because I think it's like before I can sort of like move on, I need to internalize and sort through everything that's happened, you know?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily need to assign meaning, but I need to like reflect on it and maybe assign meaning if needed, if that's warranted. But I agree with your reflection, and it's interesting to hear you kind of put it into words. So,
Yeah.
what about on the physique side of things? What are you most proud of?
Hmm. Got a lot more Jack this year, honestly.
Have you?
I think so. Um, no, I am really, really happy with where my physique is at. What
Yeah.
again, like sitting right around 230 now. And I mean, because I am like this year has been I feel like last year there was more progress made for me
Mm.
than this year, honestly, or like the latter half of last year. But I mean, it's been a big time of big change. I haven't really talked about this on the podcast actually, but I mean, I started testosterone replacement like what year and a half ago. Basically, spent a long time with Brandon working through. Like, I had low testosterone. My total was low, and then my free was very, very low, like 50% below what the bottom end of the like normal reference range is, which is lower than optimal. So that for me like made a huge difference, of course. And it's been interesting to like get back to like where I'm at now, which has also been interesting to realize like I actually think I have a lot more potential physique wise than I thought I did before. Like where I'm at now is like basically where I was when I was like 23. And I didn't really like realize at the time like how it's like, oh, I'm actually like pretty far along. So I'm interested to see what it looks like in a couple more years. But it was like that of course made a big difference and still like helps my cause a lot. But this last year has been like I mean, with the house, specifically like us moving, we've kind of been basically we were at the house, our old house, we were living in a condo, we're in the new house, and it's kind of just been like such constant chaos, I feel like, and me moving around so much between like different gyms, like a lot more travel and things like that, that I feel like I haven't been able to. I've still made good progress, but it hasn't been as consistent in the like I am locked in at this one gym, like my same equipment, progressing that over and over. I'm
Mhm.
still very happy with the progress that I have made, but I'm really, I mean, I don't honestly feel like I actually pay that much attention to the physique. It's more so like I just love the process, and just like you do, that I don't feel like I really have analyzed it enough to like I am super proud of like how this looks. I've just had a lot of fun with it. Um, I mean, across the board, I feel really good with where I'm at. I feel like I look pretty jacked right now, which I feel like it's the first time I've thought that in a very long time. So I don't know if I have a very specific answer. My calves have honestly grown a lot. I'd say that has
Okay.
to be one.
Well, agree to disagree. So
Fair
you're good
enough.
to move. I'm
I'm good.
just.
I am good to move on.
Okay. How about what was your biggest challenge? And for all of these, I'm just gonna lump all of these together. I thought it would be good to kind of, separate like professional, personal, like, training, nutrition, things like that. But I don't think we have to necessarily. I think this is kind of like uh rolling along quite naturally.
Okay.
So, yeah, what were some of your biggest challenges over the last year?
Yeah, I really feel like so. I mean, early in the year, we hired two new coaches. Team grew a lot, and I feel like that definitely also brought on some of my biggest challenges. And I had to grow a lot as a leader. And I don't really like look at any of that as like I don't look back on this year and think it was a hard year.
Mhm.
I do feel like my like perception of what's stressful has changed a lot. And it doesn't like I'm really proud of how things that used to just stress me out so fucking much, I just am able to like be so calm through now and like, oh, this is really helpful. I learned this from it and I can kind of move on from it. Um, but it did really kind of force me to see a lot of areas where, hey, for us to continue to grow and help more clients and also be a business that it makes sense to continue to grow, there's a lot of things in like our systems that need
Mhm.
fixed in order for us to continue to grow, which we did. All our clients will know we basically completely changed all of our coaching systems, and I do think they're so much better now. I'm really stoked about that. But also just the way I approach it, where anyone we brought on, I thought so highly of, love everyone. But I feel like I have had to get a lot better at having hard conversations in that, like, hey, if it's just me, you, Andrea, I can kind of just like I could kind of just like throw money around and not really like pay that much
Mhm.
attention. Like, whereas as it continues to grow, if I do that, it also ultimately like the business needs to be profitable, be successful. And that becomes a lot more important. And so thus like the way that I was structuring that and approaching that, I could have approached much better. So really just realizing like, oh wow, like for us to continue to grow, there's a lot in the structure of the business that I need to improve. And then also again, for us to grow, I need to get way better at having hard conversations because just from like as there are more people on the team, from an efficiency perspective, it's if it's like a because I'm not a very confrontational person. I normally like kind of try to avoid it. I'm really good at like and I don't like this about myself, honestly, because I feel like it's almost kind of manipulative and like how good I can be at like spinning things to where it's like I can like change the person's mind without it like, well, it's still like avoiding confrontation, but and I don't know if that's a bad thing necessarily, but I have seen for a while, I really need to get better at being just more direct. And
Mhm.
ultimately, like I love everybody that comes on board, but the decisions have to be made based on what is going to allow what's best for the company and for that to continue to grow and exist versus necessarily like what X person might want. So this basically just been like having to have a lot of very difficult conversations, which I don't think anyone loves, but it's been good for me. And it has, again, it's ultimately been a lot of growth. It's definitely like those are like, okay, I know this conversation is coming up and I'm not sleeping very well like the couple nights before, whatever it may be. But that's again, I don't necessarily like look back on it and think like, fuck, that was so hard, like working through all those things. It is just a like, wow, like I learned, I feel like from where I started the year to where we're at now, I can see so much more clearly like what needs to happen to continue to like replicate what we have currently at a larger scale.
Yeah. Yeah, I think something that's helped me is that a while back I did a lot of reflection in terms of like my own like personal values, like my
Mhm.
own personal value system. And in doing that, it's made a lot of things easier. By no means easy, but like I know like one of my values that actually is a company value as well is that we don't shy away from the hard conversations. Like, right, we have the hard conversations. That is a personal value that I established years ago, actually. And every time I have to have one of those conversations, or I should say every time that becomes necessary, that's kind of what I cling to, and it's like, because this is who I am.
Yeah.
Like
Uh,
I don't enjoy this. I don't necessarily want to do it. It's not my favorite thing that I'm getting ready to do, but this is who I am and I have to honor my value system. Um, and that's been increasingly important to me with some things I have going on in my life right now. Um, because it's been really, really helpful to fall
yeah,
back on that. And I know we share that as a company value, which is important, but it's a lot of like what we kind of preach to our clients and audience about in terms of like delayed gratification, like, right, like doing the hard things now
Mhm.
because they're going to help you in the long run. Whereas like it's
Uh,
a lot more comfortable to like not bring this up, to not talk about this, to not make waves. But then, fast forward, like you're kind of no further along because you've really just kind of been avoiding the thing that you need to grow. So,
Absolutely. And that's something I really admire about you. Always is like it's I don't know if you like it. I think you do kind of like debating. Um, and there's also something helpful to understand about Natalie. Um, but is just your ability to speak your mind. Whether like I know for a while it was like Natalie's almost like the devil's advocate, right? With like our ideas where but I think it is it was very needed, right? Like Andrea and I are
yeah.
both very like pretty I'll speak for her, like we're both pretty non-confrontational, and so it's and not that it's confrontation necessarily, but you're not afraid to like, but what about this? This doesn't
Mhm.
make sense. Or just like whatever you believe, stand up for it. And I do really admire that. And I think that's something you do a great job of, like setting the standard for how the rest of the team operates there as well.
Well,
But
thank
you're
you.
right. Sorry, go ahead.
I said thank you. I'll continue doing that then.
But it's very similar with coaching as well, right? Like if I'm wanting to avoid the hard conversation with a client right now, it could be as simple as me telling this person for the 10th week in a row that, hey, we're not pushing the split squat hard enough. Probably more comfortable because I know by that point they're tired of hearing it. So it's easier for me to just skip that over. But long term, they're not going to get the result they want.
Yep.
And it sets us up for failure. So I've just seen it like so many areas. That's again like I would say the like last 2 years in a row that's been a recurring theme for me with like this thing is happening that I'm seeing, but I don't want to hurt this person's feelings, be it like in the team, with clients. Every time I haven't brought it up, like fuck, I really wish I would have done that. So
Yeah, that's what they say, like killing with kindness, right?
is that what that means?
Kind of. Yeah, like you're doing no favors.
I thought killing with kindness kind of was the same as like turn the other cheek.
No.
Agree to disagree. What do you got for me next?
Okay. So I guess this actually kind of tied into what we have been speaking about. So I don't know if you have any further thoughts on this. If not, I am totally fine to move on. But biggest takeaways or lessons learned? You kind of did end up talking through that inadvertently. So I am fine to move on, but does that
I think like really as a whole, sorry, I do have some thoughts on this. And again, this is really all kind of tied together, but I truly feel my perception of what my role is as a leader and as
Mm,
a coach, right? A coach and a leader are, as a coach, you are a leader too, a small tribe of people. And what my role is there has evolved a lot, where I feel for the longest time it was my main or one of my main focuses. I, of course, wanted people to get results, but one of my main focuses was also how do I make sure this person likes me so they stick around, right? And that's again just kind of mm, my perception or my understanding of again like what do we need to do for the company to grow, for my clients to continue to grow and get better results, and like what's my role as a leader? And it is oftentimes like that person isn't making decisions or giving feedback based on what will make them the most liked long term. Hey, maybe yes, because we drove a lot of progress and we got what we wanted. But especially during the process, like especially during those harder times where we are giving a lot of challenging feedback, we're telling people what they don't want to hear, but what they need to hear to grow, it's oftentimes not what people want to hear. And it can be hard. And it might not like you as much in the moment. So, but if I'm making like the decisions I'm making, the feedback that I'm giving is just based on, okay, I want to make sure this person likes me. It's just, again, if it's based on like, I want to make sure, like, ultimately, my role is to help drive a result and growth, be it with client in our company, help you all grow as coaches. And if the feedback that I'm giving is always first and foremost based on, I want to manage this person's emotions,
mhm.
I won't be able to deliver the message I want. Best case, it's going to be way less efficient. And still, like, and that was a problem I was running into earlier in the year as well, where it's like, dude, it takes me so long to do everything because I like anytime I have to give difficult feedback or have a hard conversation, I just kind of faff around it for so long and like talk in circles around it because I'm scared to like hurt this person's feelings. So really like my role, or similarly, like I feel like I really love the relationship that I have with my clients now, but I feel like I feel like for the longest time it was want to make sure people know how much I like them and really make sure that they like me. Whereas now it's like, of course, I want them to like me and I do like them. But if I'm like trying to manufacture this relationship as like the reason the person sticks around, like the coaching should be the reason they stick around, the results should be the reason they stick around. So my perception of that and like how to approach all that in the coaching relationship has really changed a lot.
That's all ironic because no one likes you.
I know.
No, but I agree. It's a little bit of like scarcity abundance, so coming at something with a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. And the realization that people are coming to us for coaching for feedback. Like coaching is feedback. And we have to be able to deliver that feedback. And then consequently, like they also have to be able to receive it. They have to be in a place where they can also receive it. But um yeah, I think just having hard conversations with people, right? And it ultimately leads to more growth and is more productive than like putting off the thing.
Absolutely. And a lot of times when someone isn't in a place where because some people don't take feedback well. I've had clients who don't take feedback well, especially. And what I have found is, and I'll explain, like I'm not a dick about it. I try not to be. But if someone isn't in a good place to take feedback, they don't get a better result by me just not giving them feedback. Like it's
Right.
either, hey, we have to like start to, and I'll talk through over and over, like, I don't think you're a bad person because you didn't hit one RIR on your split squat this week, right? Like
I
it's
do. You're dead to
I
me.
I had this chat with a couple clients where it was like a couple people this week specifically were like, man, I just feel like every week you tell me, I feel like I'm training so hard, and every week you tell me you still have like three or four
Yep.
in the tank. And so I sent screenshots of like, here's 5 different conversations I've had today where someone said almost that exact same thing to me. I was like,
Yes.
oh, it's not just me. Like, no, definitely not. And then like I even have referenced like if you listen to the podcast recording that I did with Brandon, the podcast that Brandon and Cruz and I did when we worked together, there was like a 4 or 5 month stretch where he was talking about how like every week I would send him my videos and he was like, you still have more in the tank. It's like, really,
Mm.
dude? And you still have more. So we all have to go through a period of time like this. But again, what I found is if someone's not in a good place to take the feedback, I will try to frame it differently. But also there's a point where person just might not be ready to take the feedback. They might not be ready to change. But me altering that and just like not giving that doesn't help the person. They still don't make
Right.
progress.
And that's also not a reflection of you.
Correct. Yes. And that's something that I really started to understand as well as like so again, like someone's emotional state, their
Yes.
readiness to change. Of course, like I don't feel like I actually run into this very much, but it's just helpful to like consider before I give feedback like this because it can still be scary to me. It's not my responsibility to manage their emotions. People don't hire us to manage their emotions. They hire us because they want a result. And I like y'all. Again, we're not going to go out of our way to be dicks. Also didn't hire us though to just like tell you nice things and just be like there's the like I'm my client's biggest cheerleader. And I think a lot of times that actually hurts people. Like
Yeah.
I think sometimes I know in the past I've set the bar way too low because it's, oh, you're crushing it, you're crushing it. We're not actually crushing it yet. And this person could like do a lot more. They could feel a lot better. And ultimately it's about what they want, not what we want, right? It's not me setting their goals for them, but it's my perception of that has changed a lot.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we should move on to, we've kind of talked through like lessons learned, things that were like things that you've changed your mind about. And that flows nicely into like what would you like to leave behind in 2024?
Do you want me to make the joke again?
Yes.
I My biggest disappointment in 2024 is the fact that neither Andrea or I were able to find Natalie love. And this year, I am more determined than ever to make sure that happens.
No, I
We're
am
bringing
happy to
back
leave. No, we're happy to leave that behind in 2024, as well as the Lats to Love podcast.
big announcement. Actually, the name of the podcast is changing to Lats to Love. This will
No,
now
we're
be
leaving that
a
behind in
dating show for
2024.
Natalie.
We're leaving that behind. But no, what, and I mean, again, like
You have until
all of
then
these
January to
topics, like
apply to come on the show though. But yeah.
ugh, all of these topics flow so nicely. It's almost as if whoever designed this topic and this outline knows what they're doing and is very good at storytelling and storyboarding.
It's a lot better than our
So
normal outlines.
yes,
We
a
should
lot
do
better.
should do
So
these more often.
well, if my boss would let me, but in any case, yes,
Not delegating well is probably something I should leave behind in 2024 as well.
God, I could have planned that better myself. Great answer. No, that's actually that's a good one though.
That is honestly something that I'm really bad at, and you know this well. You help a lot there. You and Andrea both helped me tremendously here. I don't know why it's such a I don't it's not even like a I know y'all will do the thing very, very well. It's more so I don't want to be a burden to you or like ask more.
More
I'm
than you already are a burden.
correct. I don't want to be more of a burden or ask more of you guys than I already. It's like you guys are busy, you have a lot on your plate. I can handle it. So it's more so that, but it's again like that is definitely something and you have talked about it a lot. Again, for us to continue to grow is just something I need to get better at.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good take. Um, all right. So looking ahead then, what is something you would like to take with you into 2025 from 2024?
I'm really proud of my personal growth this last year. Um, we talked about Leah in the past quite a bit,
Mhm.
but really like 20 into 2023, started 2024, all through 2024, I've done a lot of work on myself, and I'm really proud of how much I have grown as a person. Um, I really getting into the Enneagram stuff big time.
So let's clarify here. The growth, like the personal growth that you experienced in 2024, that's something you want to bring into 2025, or do you mean like you want to take the growth and continue growing? Does that make sense?
Yeah, just take it and continue with it.
Like
Um,
what
I'll,
what you plan to do then to kind of continue that trajectory?
it's a good question. I largely think for me, it is about putting myself in a lot more situations where I'm around people and forced to interact with people because it's a really funny.
Terrifying.
What's that?
Said that sounds terrifying.
What do you mean?
Like intentionally putting myself around a lot of people.
I actually, it's a funny thing. Like when I'm like stressed or busy, I'm really like, then this has been like the biggest area of growth for me this last year. And there's been like if there was a stretch of time like 2016 through 2018 where like when I worked in the gym, I did a ton of work like this, and it was like one of the best things for me. I grew so much as a person, like understood so much more about myself, and largely for me, how much I value and love having a community of people around me that I am leading. Like it made me so happy every day to go in there, and there were all these people who had helped and like was a big like leader in their life, and just like being around all the people, I love that so much. And then really like in building our company especially like when I get more stressed, I have really, and this, I would say one of the biggest changes for me this year has been like kind of understanding or reconnecting with the fact that why I'm loved isn't just due to how much I can provide or my ability to work, which I think you and I, to a degree, like definitely have that in common, where what we see as our value as people isn't just like this person loves me for who I am, and especially like understanding like the things that I see as like flaws or like I try to like hide about myself are actually like a big part of why people like me, like why my wife loves me the most, which has like led to a lot of growth in our relationship as well. But like understanding that it's not the because I feel like for so long my whole identity was just tied up in the business specifically, and I will be the man that I want to be. I can be proud of myself. I can be content. I can be like more present in my relationships. I can like stop and just isolate myself and actually like go hang out with people and enjoy my life outside of this. But only when I reach this point and the goalpost is always moving, right? And that's where I feel like I was from like 2018 through like most of 2023. And this last like year and change kind of just realizing like, man, the goalpost is probably always gonna be moving, and I don't want to like my wife, my favorite person in the world. Like, I don't love how I showed up for. I'm not disappointed necessarily in how I showed up, but I could have been like a lot more present, just a lot more like fun version of myself who wasn't just like friends, family, or like inconveniences, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't love that, and
Yeah,
so like
sadly
that
I
changed.
do. Sadly, I do know
I
very
know
much.
you can relate, right? Whereas
Yes.
like that's again something that like it is very easy for me to I think we're both like almost goal focused to a fault
Yes.
to where it's very easy to like this is the goal, and if this doesn't support the goal I don't see the point in doing it or me being
Yeah.
involved in it, and but it ultimately doesn't like the goal is always in the distance. The goal is like we're never like celebrating or enjoying it, so it does that's been a big change for me. And then so I think that ultimately but it has also like led to kind of rekindling because it was a point like when I hired Leah, it was like I don't even know why I'm doing this anymore. Like I'm not happy. I'm like just feel like so stressed and like none of this is fulfilling. And I don't know why like every little thing seems like so like frustrating. And I'm like just it was all like I don't know why I'm doing any of this. Like what's the point of like me like having this business or like getting in the house if this is like how I feel all the time. So it's been really cool like over the last year to just come back to and understand, despite my like somewhat introverted ways, how much people, being around people, connecting with people really does like such fire and is the most fulfilling thing for me. Also, when I'm able to kind of like get out of my head and not just be this, which for me, the point of being why it's so important to be around people is I just have to practice, honestly, like talking to people a lot and like putting myself in those situations a lot. But then when I'm like, cool, I love the way I can show up, and it is like one of the most fulfilling things for me. And that's what it's been really cool to me, to where like, again, it kind of getting to that point where it was like, I've poured so many years into this, like from 2011 till that point, this is all I wanted to do. And now it's like getting to that point where it's like, I don't even know if I like this. Like, why I don't know what I'm just like, just like so frustrated with everything. And then like kind of reconnecting like over this last year with, I love the people. I love hopping on calls with people. I love our community. I love coaching. So I think it's kind of building, like expanding on that more in this next year with like our community, being with people more in person, and even just outside of that with like my friendships, just being honestly being a better friend, actually like being okay with like going and spending, like taking away from like the time I can be productive and like going and connecting with people. Just it fills my cup so much more. And I show up better here. And it also ironically does help the business, which I don't know if I just is an easy way for me to justify it more, but
No, it's really, really challenging for people who are productivity and goal obsessed and equate their self-worth with how much they can produce. It's almost like I'm speaking from experience. It's really difficult to see in the moment like what the ROI is from not working.
I know.
Like if I step away from the things that I need to do right now, to go be social, to go hang out, to go quote fill my cup, like how does this pay off in the long run? Like
Right.
what's the ROI here? Um and of course this is, something that we talk to our clients about all the time is like filling their own cup. And the analogy or the metaphor rather of, the airplane mask, right? You put your mask on first, before you help others. And we have to be kind of nurturing our relationship with ourselves, as well as our relationship with loved ones. And I know something that I very much struggle with, and I know you know this about me. I am still navigating, like finding my place on this earth. Like, okay, I know intellectually, of course, that I was not put on this earth to like bodybuild and coach people, and that's it.
You
And
need a meaningful relationship full of love.
but I struggle with that,
Yeah.
like because
I'm
those
sorry to make a joke right there.
I'm being vulnerable.
I'm so
Those
sorry.
those do feel like higher callings. Well, I don't know about the bodybuilding thing, but coaching people, helping, like those do feel like higher, that does feel like a higher calling. And like that is like what fills my cup and it gives me purpose. But like that can't be true. Like no one's put on this earth to like just work
Yet.
24/7, even if
Yeah.
we like it, even if we like
Right.
it and are passionate about what we do. And for those who might not know, I had a previous career in classical music, and like a successful one. And I was under the illusion then that I was put on this earth for that. And it was like, again, it was funny how ironically similar those journeys are. It's like, that's all I did, and that is all I worked towards. It's all I wanted. And then it turns out, I just traded one obsession for another. Um, and so, I do really struggle with like that higher, like what is my role on this planet? What is my higher purpose? And like how do I pour into myself in ways other than work or the
Right.
task at hand? Like,
Right.
and how can I separate myself from this identity that I've now poured into? Um, and it's really interesting because like with bodybuilding in particular, people always talk about like, oh, that can't be all you do. Like you need a life outside of that. Um, and it's kind of like, but it is my hobby. That is a hobby.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't really have any earth-shattering conclusions here. This is more like a thought exploration. Just
I
sort of,
actually have all the solutions for you, so I got you. Don't worry.
you don't have to solve everyone's problems. Um, but anyways,
I think though on that, if I'm sorry, I do not want to interrupt.
No,
Just
I was
mind
just
you
gonna
saying
say,
that.
like, I don't have any clearly I don't have any conclusions here. This is something that like I am continuing to think through.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. I feel like I'm on two thoughts there because this is something I think about a lot as well. I think if I feel like you and I have very similar mental struggles on the day to day where it's like I think we're driven by like slightly different things,
mhm.
but we have a lot in common. And Enneagram type 3 and Enneagram type 8, dude. Um, big Enneagram guy. But this is a really I think first thought that's always helpful for me. I like journal about this like every day actually is like the whether I have purpose or not, whether there's like a higher calling for me out there or not, because a lot of times it does bother me like, can I identify this? Whether I like have that or not, the day's gonna go by. You know, time is still gonna pass, right? So I still get to choose like, okay, so I know on one end, because when I get in my head about that, I just get like mopey. I'm not productive. And that's typically like a, oh, well, I'm not really motivated to do this thing. And then I just, which I'm very thankful doesn't happen anymore, but I kind of just fall into a rut. And I hate that. Like, I hate how I feel after that. And it's ultimately like, okay, well, either way, time's going to pass. So I know at the end of the day, I will feel the best if I operate in this way today. I'm productive. Here's how I like show up for my people, etc. Also been like this is kind of a more abstract thing, but something I really was helpful with Leah. Um, I'm not religious, but listen to this. I listened to this book, Conversations with God, which was a really interesting one. And I don't know if I like agreed with all of it. Also coming from like a very like religious family, it's really interesting like your perceptions of like it was very I don't know, just I actually don't want to dig too deep into that side of things, but um something that was very helpful for me here was this like idea of like pursuing a god and like having like something higher that people are following there, but it's more so like the ideals around it that people are typically pursuing, like God is love, right? It's something you hear a lot. Like, okay, what is love? It's like this connection with people, right? There's basically like a my reflection on this was basically there are like a universal, it seems like across time there's been this universal set of like here's what people typically pursue to like feel relatively fulfilled. And it's like community, like genuine connection with people, like times where you're present, I don't know, creativity. I have a whole list of like this, like I know that's kind of abstract, like less like God in a religious sense, but more so like this.
Higher power. Like,
Not necessarily even just like almost looking at it as like a these are the things that I know when I'm pursuing these things at any point in my life when I've been pursuing like connection with people and I'm prioritizing that. Like that's my focus today over my focus on these sales calls, for example, is I want to connect with this person and just get to know them. My focus is that over I want to make more money because I signed them up for coaching, for example.
right.
Right? That like that just like that intention with these are the things I'm pursuing. Like here's how I'm basically looking at this as how I make my decision with how I like go about my day, right? Like again, I know like times where I'm present with and just like connecting with people. So again, like maybe I don't want to like text that person back, like that friend back who texts me because it's the middle of the day. But I know ultimately, like when I act this way at the end of the day, I feel so much more fulfilled. I do feel like I have more purpose, right? Connecting with people, actually being around people when it feels inconvenient, things like that. Does that kind of make sense?
It does. I think something I think about a lot is that like we know that as humans we're tribal people. Like with like that's a sociological fact. Like that's not my opinion. That like we need community and we need our tribes. And I am always in conflict with that because I'm like, no, I'm a special snowflake. I'm different. I don't, I don't need
Yeah,
anyone.
same.
And I think that's some of my like Enneagram 8 coming through as well. Um, like I'm the anomaly. Like I don't need those things. And I mean, man, we could like really it'd be interesting to have Leah on as a guest. Like, I'm sure you can take everything I just said and you have like 5 million thoughts about it.
We'll
Um,
have an
it's
Enneagram
also really
episode.
funny to me that like Leah's presence, who we have both worked with and like kind of like life coaching, mentorship aspects. It's funny that this is just coming around like full circle all of a sudden. It's been like a year about. Um,
Hmm.
and like, and I was just exchanging some Instagram messages with her earlier today. That's interesting to me.
That was quick action.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's so like the easy thing for me to do is to like retreat into the identity I've created and the work that I do to avoid having to, engage in community. And the things that, because I'm different and I don't need that. And that's obviously not true, but anyways, that's a conversation for a whole other podcast, I'm sure, on a different channel. Uh, but yeah, good thoughts and reflections there. Let's
Thank
move
you.
on. Okay, so again, looking ahead to 2025, what do you want to accomplish? And I'm going to leave this wide open for, anything professional, personal, physique wise, physique goals.
Professionally, and I think this drives you crazy. I have actually really tried to stop setting as many like concrete, like a
Mhm.
financial goal, a client number, etc. Because again, what I have found is with me being like so goal driven, I'll get there. Like doing the work and doing the thing isn't a problem. But when I make that my focus again, like I feel like that's largely how I got to where I was in
Mhm.
2023, right? Where it is so much focusing on the thing. So it is truly just much more so like when we're coming into this year, again, I kind of want to just continue with more of just leaning more into again, just how much I love all this, right? Like the connecting with more people, like getting comfortable, like doing that on a bigger scale, be that like client meetups. I don't know, like I don't even know what that looks like. Just again, truly prioritizing like the relationships and the connection because it is really such a funny thing where like I like when I'm like stressed or like when I pull back, I tell myself I'm bad at it. I'm introverted. I don't like people. When it's really like the opposite, where it's like those are actually like the most fulfilling things for me. And how much I love coaching, right? Like I love training and nutrition. And I really do love coaching people, but it is funny how like for a while I was able to turn it into something that was so stressful for me. I was making it so much harder than I needed it to be. Um, so it kind of drives me crazy too,
What
because
you're
it's not,
saying is you would like to be more process focused and not as outcome oriented.
yeah, I would say so. But it is really again like we're all so good at what we do. And that's again just like I think for both of us, one of our biggest challenges is like always when I'm this better version of myself, I will be able to handle this situation better. And so I need to work harder. I need to fix myself to get there. Whereas really, again, this last year has been like, actually, like those things that I needed from myself are already there. This, like, you don't have it in you yet. It's actually a big part of the problem. So I actually don't remember where I was going to go with that for the conclusion, but basically, it is truly just focusing more on the people, being more of a connector. Honestly, I see myself, I've taken on a lot more clients in the last like couple months than I have in quite a while. Been absolutely loving that. I truly feel like we've leveled up so much over this last year, and I'm excited for what happens with our company over this next year because again, I feel like we've like passed a couple thresholds and truly are exceptional at what we do. We've just been focused on mastery of this for so long. So I'm really excited for that. And also I've just truly loved working with more people myself. Um, so it's truly again, I think just more of, and I think with the lessons I learned this last year, I think I can do things so much better. But I don't have a like, we're gonna hire X number of people, we're gonna have
Right.
X amount of clients. It's really again just focusing on those things more. And again, I think that when I am when I'm growing, when I'm fulfilled, personally, our company grows, right? And it's like the kind of like my energy, my headspace seems to be a reflection of where everyone else is at, and as a result, a reflection of where our clients are at as well. So I have no doubt everything will continue to expand. I do honestly one of the biggest things that's been on my mind lately, more in-person meetups with clients. I'm not sure
Mhm.
exactly what that looks like. I don't know if this makes sense or if it ever makes sense, but I would actually love to have a physical location. Kind of just like with the gym stuff where I've talked about like I'm lonely working out here, but then when I go other places, their equipment isn't like exactly what I want it to be. Like it'd be really cool. Like I would love to like be able to start to build a small community like that again. I don't think like a gym model, like from a
Yeah.
business perspective, makes sense. If someone were to move here, say Natalie, I think it'd be really cool to have like a workspace training. We could like have like a semi-private gym thing. I already have basically all the gym equipment.
You
That's
gotta
been on
get,
my mind a lot lately, but sorry, go ahead.
if you get my Nautilus pieces, it would be really hard for me to turn that down.
I will do those immediately if you move here.
No, no, no. It has to happen first, and then I'll move.
All right, we'll get that on paper after this.
Okay.
But yeah, truly, it's just I feel like looking back at the year, I'm really so proud of my growth, and it's just and I don't have those all mapped out as clearly as I would like, honestly. But
Mhm.
like, what do I need to do to continue that? I'm so proud of our team. I want to really continue to make this an even better place for y'all to work. What do y'all need to continue to do to grow, support you guys better financially? So really my biggest like what I want to do this year. And I think we've set the table well with like what we've done, especially over the last couple of months for that.
Agree. I think we are very aligned on the vision, like where we want to go. Um, and that makes me really excited. So
Likewise.
I am so looking forward to this next year, which honestly is already in progress, like starts now, right? Um, we have our team meetup in January, early January. And those are always so fun. I always get super sore.
Great training sessions for sure.
Legendary, legendary. So I look forward to that. And then we always leave like so fired up. Like I feel like from a business perspective, I feel very fired up now because again, I
Mhm.
feel like the vision is so clear that I'm very excited. Um, it's the same thing we like work through with clients when we are like goal setting and we're mapping out like a client journey. It's like, hey,
Right.
like kind of, it's like if you have such a strong vision, and like honestly, my own like bodybuilding, right? If you have such a strong vision of like where you want to be and like you can like visualize it and I
Mhm.
do a ton of visualization and you can like see yourself where you want to be, what you look like, what that feels like from a personal perspective, business perspective, physique, all of that. Like it makes it easy to show up every day, and it makes the path so clear. It's like
Right.
when you look at like in Wicked, let's drop a
I
relevant,
haven't seen it.
a timely cultural reference. I know you're
Give
like,
me like an Oklahoma the
no,
musical
you'll.
reference.
I actually could because I love that musical. But you will understand this because surely you've seen The Wizard of Oz. I know you haven't seen like anything else, but
My mom actually would not let us watch The Wizard of Oz. I don't
seriously.
wishes. Yeah,
Okay.
Harry Potter and The Wizard of Oz
Well,
were no goes.
then this reference will be missed. But I think you'll get there. Um, when you just see the path before you light up like the yellow brick road.
Yeah.
Surely.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, but like I said, when you have such a clear vision of where what you're working toward, like your North Star, like where you're headed, the path just illuminates. And it kind of like what I was saying earlier, where I think we maybe weren't recording, but I was saying I didn't say at some point that when you have a very, very clear sense of like values, personal or professional, like, hey, this is my value and this is who I am, it
Mhm.
makes decision making so much easier
Oh,
because you're making
absolutely.
decisions based on your values. And so when you have your North Star, your city of Oz that you are heading towards, the path becomes clear. And I feel that is very much where I am professionally like with where the company's headed, as well as like with my bodybuilding and my own physique. And so I'm just like, I'm super excited for everything that we're all working towards. And like I said, you know, we always leave those meetups like so fired up, and like we're already fired up, so it's gonna be incendiary. I know it.
I'm so
Um,
excited for that as well.
yeah. So I think a good note to go out on here would be what you are most grateful for. And it doesn't necessarily have to be 2024. It could be, you know, like in this life.
I'm grateful for you, Natalie. Truly.
No,
I'm
really?
sure, really,
Wow.
genuinely, I'm so grateful for our team. It is so cool to me that again, not only are y'all just the best coaches I know, but also just such good people who I genuinely just love spending so much time with. Like it's so fun for me to be around you guys. It's like truly you guys are like some of my best friends as well. And I'm just like so thankful that we can even like have that dynamic because I don't think it's very common. So I'm very grateful for that. And I feel like our our cult client community, it is truly pretty crazy to me that this is what we get to do. And that's I try when I'm able to take a step back and like, is this really that stressful? Is this really that hard? Or is this like exactly what I would want to be doing, even if I wasn't getting paid for it and like doing something else? It definitely is. I just in general, like my wife, like our life here, they're genuinely just feel like I have so much to be grateful for. I feel like I'm way more emotional than normal today, actually. So this was a good way to do this, a good day to do this. But um
You
Nick
doctored
Nick Rogers cannot
it.
leave out.
For those of you that don't know, Andrea's husband.
Is a stud. Um,
Truly.
my physique goals. That is my physique goals for 2025 is Nick Rogers physique.
I
Those
too.
traps, honestly, everyone out there. Um, what are you grateful for, Natalie?
Um, Lots. And of course, this conversation gets easier the older I get, because I do think with time as you mature and like go
Grateful
through,
for health in your old age.
yeah, you just you become more grateful, you know, like it I spend a lot more time reflecting on gratitude. Um, but for sure, like I mean, my family, small but mighty. And honestly, like my upbringing and the opportunities afforded to me, like by my parents and the life that
Mhm.
they gave me. Um, so grateful every day for them and for that. And for sure, I echo your sentiments. This team, like I just feel like I found like a professional home, and you guys are seriously have become my best friends. And you know, like I've had so many jobs in the past. Well, not really, but a few jobs in the past. And you know, that whole like corporate culture of like it is not family. Like it's, you know, every time like those memes go around, like, you know, because again, I've had corporate jobs. So like I subscribe to all the corporate meme accounts, you know, where it's always just like, you know, red flag when they're like, we're a family. And it's like, no, we're not. This is work. It's like you guys very much are. Like I can't think of anyone I'd rather like work with and also spend time with as humans and friends and training partners. I feel like you guys know me better than I know myself sometimes, and better than lots of people. And I did write this in your Christmas card. So we're going
That
on the
was a very
record.
nice card. Thank you.
We're going on the record. Sometimes I am nice to you. So we can publicly acknowledge that. Um, I do not know what I did to like in this universe to deserve where I am right now and like earn my place on this team. Like I don't know what I did in a past life, but I'm glad I did it. Um, because like you guys really have just become family, and it's so cool to have people who just continue to like level up and inspire you to do so. It's like we're all constantly like pushing ourselves, pushing each other. And it's the coolest thing. Um, and I mean, I've grown so much as like a human, but I've also grown so much like in muscle mass since building this
Truly
team.
though.
And I wouldn't trade that for the world. But you know, like a lot of the things that I look forward to, like hopefully stepping on stage in 2025, like couldn't imagine doing that without you and Andrea. Like
Gotcha, dude.
it's funny to me like how big a part of like what I look forward to that you guys are. You guys play in that. It's funny to me. Because like you're my colleagues, but it's like, but you're also my besties. Um, so yeah, like very, very grateful for the two of you and for Nick Rogers, honestly.
Most of all, Nick
And
Rogers.
I will also say I'm grateful for Katie because I know
The cutest, the sweetest,
I really
the
enjoy
funniest.
my relationship with Katie.
I do too.
She's a doll and she's so good for you on so many levels. And then we know that I enjoy also Inigo.
The
She's
best girl.
she is my fur niece. But anyways, I will wrap this up because there's so much to be grateful for, and I know it's super cheesy, but this is just such a good time of year to like really reflect on everything that we have because I think, you know, the theme of this week's client check-ins were like people limping towards the finish line and like hanging on by a thread. It's just like everyone's on, you know, it's like Q4 for like whatever your vocation is, you know, what you're working toward professionally, your job, your career. Like it's Q4. Everyone's trying to like wrap things up ahead of some time off for the holidays. Everyone's kind of maxed out their social credit here, you know, and and like craving some downtime, quiet time, more sleep. And it's easy to get sucked into that and just think like, oh God, I just have to like make it to next week. But really, honestly, like life's pretty good and we have a lot to be grateful for. Um, so with that, I think that's a good ending point here. So if you enjoyed this episode, let us know. It was a little bit different, but we do enjoy doing some of these like personal reflections every now and again. Um,
Nice.
If you would like to work with our team, then hit the show notes. We have a link to apply for coaching. You can follow all of us on Instagram, chat us up in the DMs. We are always happy to connect and answer questions about coaching or life or, you know, Jeremiah's lack,
Relationships, find love.
Jeremiah's woefully subpar lats. Always happy to chat about that. And also we are wishing everyone the happiest of holidays. And of course, hope that the new year brings you everything that you are wishing for.
Happy holidays. We'll talk to you guys soon.